Today, we're talking about Topps Chrome Basketball once again. It's gone up for sale and they've given us a sneak peek as to what some of these cards are going to look like. And it's left a lot to be desired, to be perfectly honest with you. This looks nothing like what Topps Chrome is meant to look like. And collectors have basically been speaking their voice on social media, which I think is amazing. So I want to talk through this news in particular, talk through why this set looks incredibly stupid from Topps, but also highlight, the contrasting, the conflicting responses we're sort of seeing on social media. The collectors are so vocal by saying this stuff is trash, yet the people that are the breakers or the people getting paid by Topps are saying it's amazing, which is, nothing new, but I want to highlight that hypocrisy once again, as I do often do on this channel. Now, the regulars on the channel will know that I've talked about the unlicensed version of Topps Chrome Basketball coming out over the last few months, and I specifically talked about it through the lens of, now we're going to see influencers coming out and breakers coming out saying unlicensed stuff is actually cool. And this was despite them sort of crapping on the Panini baseball cards and then also the Leaf cards over a number of years, saying they're not worth your money, they're not going to retain value, people are not going to care about them, all that sort of stuff. Basically, what we saw when this was first announced by Topps was these same people, changing their tune, doing a complete 180, jumping up and down, saying it was amazing. And we've sort of seen that trend continue with, a bit more announcement with the product. It's gone up for pre-order, like I said in the intro, and they've now shown us what more of these cards actually look like, and we're still seeing the same sort of stuff, like I said in the intro as well. Collectors are pushing back, saying it doesn't look good, yet influencers are saying it looks amazing. And one of the inserts they first showed off was this Rockstars insert, which was around in the 90s. I don't recall seeing them, but they were around. And the card itself does look cool, but again, the imagery being unlicensed doesn't look the best, and sort of the art styles these guys have chosen, again, doesn't also work all that well. Again, I'm a fan of unlicensed stuff, as I said in my last videos on this topic, but people aren't and historically haven't been, which is why you're sort of seeing so much pushback here, where people saying it's ugly, $270 a box, being too expensive, etc., etc. But again, looks not that good in my opinion, and I think they could have done things a little bit better, but it is what it is. People can buy it if they want. But what we've sort of seen since is, this product actually sold out in minutes, and at the $270 price point, they're already selling for $400 to $500. But what sort of people that are clearly paid for by Topps, which I believe the collectibles guru is saying stuff like this, license or not, this is a true testament to the power of Topps Chrome brand, and certainly doesn't hurt to have orders of Wemby and LeBron in the product. Goes to what I sort of just said. People that are, at the forefront of an influencer perspective saying this is amazing, despite collectors out there saying this doesn't look all that good. And despite these same people, months earlier, years earlier, saying unlicensed stuff is no good. But it was interesting to see it sell out so quickly and start selling for this kind of money. But the commentary that I've sort of seen online, whilst it is conflicting and contrasting, like I said a little bit earlier, it seems to be very focused and consistent, i.e. the collectors are sort of saying this stuff doesn't look that good, we don't really want it, yet the conflicting part happens with the breakers themselves, the people that are paid for by Topps saying it's amazing. And I don't think we've seen that kind of thing happen in the past. Like usually when you see mistakes happen from these companies and people that are clearly sponsored are talking it up, the comments are pretty indifferent. Like you've got some people agreeing with what the sponsored person is talking about and then others not. But in this particular case, if you read these posts from Topps and some of these other influencers that have made posts themselves, you've got so many people saying that it looks terrible and it's not Topps Chrome. And that sort of trend gets a little bit worse when you see what Topps actually released and how it's not true to what the Topps brand, Topps Chrome brand actually is, and completely contradicts what Mr. Paid For Man says over here, where he says it's a testament to the power of Topps Chrome. But then you look at what they've actually done, and it's not Topps Chrome. Like you've got an example here from Frank AZHP Collectibles, who says, well, this is what Topps have released, and it's sort of like a weird mix-up of maybe Topps Finest and also Panini Prism, and this is what he photoshopped inside 5 minutes. Now, historically, this is what Topps Chrome cards would look like. You've got, actual game-used shots where you can see the stadium and the, people sitting in the crowd and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, this is what they put out there. So it's not just the fact that they've put out an unlicensed product before they've actually had the licenses and maybe held off on keeping the prestige of the Topps Chrome brand, but they've brought it out earlier and then not even kept true to what collectors actually like about Topps Chrome. The parallels in Topps Chrome are amazing, but part of the appeal is sort of what the cards actually look like, and the fact they've turned this out just shows that they maybe don't really care about Topps Chrome branding or heritage or anything like that, and they're just looking to get something out there to sort of capitalize on the Victor Wembanyama rookie year. It's just weird to me how you can sort of sit there and say, well, this is what we're trying to do, and then you go ahead and put cards out that don't hold true to what Topps Chrome is all about, in my opinion. And I can show you some more images over here from the thread itself, where they've done a few other mock-ups and shown how it was done. And even something like this with this Sam Whitmore over here, where you've got the image on the left, which is what Topps released themselves, versus what this same person put together themselves. And it shows that, you can make an unlicensed card look better than what it actually was. And this little bit of effort here of maybe hiding the fact that it's an unlicensed card a little bit more just makes the card look a heck of a lot better in terms of the positioning of the player. This awkward fit over here just looks a bit weird. And when you're sort of dealing with unlicensed cards, in my opinion, you sort of want to, put the effort in to make it look as good as possible. And, if you were to put these two cards side by side, I can almost guarantee you that everybody's going to pick this one on the right, that it's not as obviously an unlicensed card as what this one on the left looks out. And I can't recall if I just mentioned or not. I had to cut the video because I had a bit of a coughing fit, but, it's a lazy effort from them. You've got the Topps Chrome brand. It's meant to mean something. Topps talked it up when they first brought it back and said this thing was coming for basketball, and they sort of want to do it justice and all that kind of stuff. Yet they go ahead and dish up stuff like that. So not only are they sort of bringing this thing out too early and not showing the product the respect it deserves, they're doing sort of lazy efforts in terms of the design that shows to you as collectors that they don't really care what they're going to give you. And that's how I'm sort of seeing this situation. Maybe I'm off base, but that's how I look at it. Like, you want to treat Topps Chrome right. You want it to be a pillar of your brand. Treat it with the respect it deserves. And you've got a few other examples here of how the Rockstars card could be made to look a little bit better in terms of the unlicensed approach, just like we saw there with that Cam Whitmore. Putting a bit more effort to make it look better. And while some of you guys will say, well, it's only a $270 product, what's the big deal? Because to me, that's still a lot of money, but to many, that's cheap compared to what hobby boxes typically sell for. My mind goes to the messaging from Topps in the first place. They were bringing back Topps Chrome. It's a big thing to sort of have this back for basketball. The Topps Chrome stuff in the 2000s was beyond amazing. So the fact they've sort of done it like this just doesn't make me confident. It doesn't make me happy to sort of see what it is they're doing. It just ruins the approach for me. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And there's many other examples here that the guys basically posted on, and others have done the same thing too, where they've just shown that they can make it, look a lot better than what, they've actually done, which is pretty disappointing in my opinion. Now, what is interesting here, I'll have to Google what the OG Rockstars cards look like, but the word stars there looks very much like the Pawn Stars wording from the reality TV show. So you guys make up your own mind. I'll quickly dip between the two, but that looks, like they've copied and pasted it. Maybe it's a standard font in some editing software, but that looks a bit suspicious to me. So I'll have to look at what the OG cards look like. Maybe that's the wording back then and the Pawn Stars show stole the font, but I just thought that was pretty damn interesting. But this whole situation is just a bit funny. Like, I don't get this approach from Topps. The fact that you've sort of made a big deal about it and then you've sort of done things half-assed just sort of tells me all we need to know about where their head is at. And if you go back, and I'll play a clip now of Michael Rubin out at the Dallas Card Show a few months ago, maybe 6 months ago, he was laughing about the fact, well, not laughing, but sarcastically talking about that Panini was going to have to make pajama cards.
Is it? No.
They're going to make it unlicensed?
So right now they're making cards that I think people would say that they're not allowed to be making. And I think there's that legal process will kind of bring that to conclusion. And then I think they'll make unlicensed cards. They'll make what they call pajama cards.
Yet they come out 6 months later and do the same thing. So when he's talking about it through that lens, it's like, well, pajama cards suck. We don't want to make them. Yet they've gone ahead and done it. And not just done it, but done it half-assed. And not just done it half-assed, released a product as Topps Chrome and then put cards in there that are not what Topps Chrome is all about. So it's like, what are you guys doing? How many other things are you going to backtrack on or say one thing and then do another? And, we've talked about this countless times on this channel. Topps have done that to death at this point. There's many, many examples of them, sort of saying one thing and doing another, or dropping the ball and all this other kind of stuff. Things like saying less sticker autos, bringing in more sticker autos, saying less redemptions, bringing in more redemptions, saying less parallels, bringing in more parallels. It's just a really weird situation. I sort of hate crapping on these companies, but it's one of those things that I hope they sort of acknowledge what they're sort of seeing on social media. Like I said towards the start, you've got a lot of people saying this stuff is crap. So even though it has sold out, there's a lot of people pushing back and saying they don't like it. So I'm hoping they are being receptive, like they sort of were with those duplicate one-of-ones where they reacted quite quickly. Like, obviously they can't fix this, but they can maybe fix it for future years. Because at the end of the day, we want Topps to be strong, just like we want Panini to be strong. The Topps Chrome brands are amazing. I typically prefer them over Prism in terms of historical sets. I think they look better. I think their refractors look a heck of a lot better as well. So do their Chrome cards. So for me, like, I want them to succeed. I'm not just hating on them for the sake of hating on them. I'm hating on them because I want to see them do better, and I want to see them give us better stuff as collectors, because we sort of deserve that, especially when we're paying the kind of money that they're sort of expecting people to be paying for this kind of stuff. And again, some people will say $270 USD is not a lot for a hobby box, but I think for an unlicensed set, $270 is too much, especially for an unlicensed set that looks like that. And when people are trying to justify it as being Topps Chrome, that's not Topps Chrome what they've come out with. It's some, hybrid artificial crap that is not, what they should be releasing, in my opinion. So, I rambled a heck of a lot today. I want to hear what you guys have to say down below. I didn't, quote any specific breakers when I talked about breakers praising this sort of thing, but Mama Breaks was one of them. You had Sports Card Investor talking about it, Backyard Breaks, a few of these other ones as well. I think it goes without saying, like, clearly you can see for yourself when you're going on social media and seeing what these breakers talk up. And whilst breakers don't represent the true core to the hobby, they're the ones that seem to get their voices heard the most, and they're the ones that are sort of selling probably 90% of the product. So, it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know if you liked what you saw from Topps Chrome. I think it looks silly, and I think people are going to get burned being lulled into buying this sort of stuff when, once Topps Chrome basketball actually releases and it goes back to being licensed. I don't think this stuff is going to hold value. That's just my opinion. I should also say the only person I've really seen that's sort of tied to Topps that's talked bad about what this looks like and not liking what it looks like is Mike Gio from Sports Card Nonsense. He's actually come out and made a post saying it doesn't look good. He's sort of gone on the record for many months now saying unlicensed cards, he's a fan of, but he's not super happy with what Topps has done in this particular instance. So, he's probably one of the few actually that I've seen. So I just wanted to shout that out. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.